Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Define Disaster. This is Battlefield 4. Today we're going to be taking a look at medium-range scopes and how they perform on a variety of different weaponry. When I talk about medium-range optics in Battlefield 4, I mean, of course, the 4x or 3.4 times magnified optics available for almost every gun in the game. And my take on them is that they are pretty much useless with the exception of a few situations, if you will. But of course, let's start off on a positive note. What do these optics have to offer? Obviously, if you're looking at a target downrange, out in the distance, say 100 meter with something like an assault rifle, you are going to be able to place your shots more accurately with a higher magnification optic. But as far as I'm concerned, that's where the advantages pretty much end. And the list of disadvantages is quite lengthy. To get starting on it, first of course we have screen shake. If you've got any kind of recoil on your gun in Battlefield 4 and you're looking through a magnified optics of any kind of degree, so 2 times multiplier or higher, you're gonna have a hell of a lot of screen shake going on your screen, which makes aiming accurately, at least in my opinion, very difficult. And even if you're using a gun like an M416 or even something as extreme as an AR-160 or SAR-21, which really doesn't kick vertically a lot at all, aiming can become really difficult. So it doesn't really matter how clearly you can see your enemy, your crosshair is shaking around everywhere, so you're not really placing your shots accurately. And that's a problem I encounter when using higher magnified optics. Another one of the disadvantages is your field of view. Once you look down one of these optics, first of all because you're zooming in, second of all because of the usually quite large screen housing. Now this obviously doesn't just get in the way, it's also a disadvantage for you as a player, because if somebody's sneaking up on you or coming towards you from the side, you won't be able to see him because you're looking down these optics. And it sounds kind of, I guess you could say, secondary in importance when it comes to playing, but I found this to be the biggest disadvantage I would face when using a 4x optics, because my situational awareness just goes down the drain. As soon as I look down one of these sights, I have no clue what's going on around me, only what's happening right in front of me out in the distance, wherever I'm aiming to. And now these are the two things that for me make using a 4x optic on pretty much all weaponry in Battlefield 4 a pretty bad nightmare, and you should probably be able to see it in the gameplay today. A lot of it is kind of sparse and desperate, if you will. I had quite a hard time getting some good gameplay using these 4x or 3.4x magnified scopes. So what weapons would I recommend using a 4x scope if you are a big fan of these sights? Well, basically a weapon with extremely low recoil. So I guess your best bet would be probably something like a SAR-21 with a muzzle brake or compensator and an angled foregrip. But even then, the screen shake is pretty severe, and even then, obviously your field of view is equally impaired no matter how much your gun actually bobs up and down. But there are certain situations where you can actually use one of these sights successfully, and while they are limited, in my opinion, when it works, it's obviously hugely beneficial. So the first, of course, would be sitting up a bipod and an LMG. Obviously, you've got almost no recoil when you use a bipod and LMG. You're going to be shooting laser beams, and being kind of zoomed in closer to the enemy is going to allow you to not only spot people hiding behind cover out in the distance, but also nail those headshots on longer ranges. Obviously, using a bipod and LMG is not in my nature. I just never used that, so there's no gameplay of that, but you can imagine how that would basically work. And if you're a camper, that's pretty much the way to go about camping. Of course, then we have the DMRs. Now, DMR is a bit of a mixed bag here. When I do occasionally play DMRs and it's not for a 4x challenge, I will actually prefer to use them with a Coyote sight because it allows me to be aggressive with my DMR and move up onto objectives, help my team out, instead of just camping away 50, 70 meters away from the objective and not doing anything for anybody except for, of course, my point streak. Last but not least, we have the only true situation, in my opinion, where these optics are absolutely amazing to use, and that's sniping. Because if I do occasionally snipe, and I'm going to admit I am not the best sniper and I do not snipe extremely frequently. However, if I do, I will almost always use a 4x optic, and it simply comes down to the flexibility that you then have with the sniper rifle. If you have an 8x optic, you're pretty much limited to 100 meters or further combat. Putting it in other words, it's very difficult to engage closer targets because you're staring into their soul. When you're using a 4x or 3.4x optic, however, this is not the case. You can be accurate easily down to 30, 40, 50 meters if you choose your shots carefully, and it basically allows you to become extremely aggressive with a bolt action rifle. But that isn't the only advantage of using a sniper rifle with one of these 3.4 or 4x optics. You don't, of course, have the optic glare, this kind of beacon shining out into the world, telling everybody that there's a sniper up on that hill or behind that box or running onto that objective aiming down sight. When you're, of course, using one of these 4x optics, you don't have that beacon or lens flare, as you would officially call it, which means you're actually at a competitive advantage over another sniper trying to snipe you or any other player trying to locate you, of course assuming you're not trying to snipe at 400 meters. If you're going for the long distance snipe, using one of these optics for a sniper rifle is obviously not going to be beneficial whatsoever. So as we come to the end of this video, I should probably thank Anduo2 for providing us with the topic of discussion today. Thank you very much. If you have an idea of topic you would like to share with me or see a video about, feel free to leave that down below in the comments. My conclusion on 4x or medium range scopes is pretty obvious. I'm not a fan, with the one exception of using them as sniper optic, but if you have a different opinion, feel free to leave that down below in the comments. Even better, with a reasoning. Why do you like to use these optics, and in what situations? What tactical benefits do you think you can get out of using these scopes? But otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any opinions on the video, but otherwise, I hope to see you in the next Battlefield 4 video.